4 innovative women power speakers have joined to create their own platform, Voice Masters. The platform designed to help you unlock the true power of your voice and elevate your communication to a level of mastery. Today marks the beginning of a journey that has the potential to transform not just the way you speak, but how you connect, inspire, and leave an indelible mark in every room you enter. At Voice Masters, we believe that your voice is more than just a sound. It's your identity. It's your power. It's the bridge between ideas and action, between potential and achievement, between silence and impact. As we embark on this journey together, let's reflect on what brought us here today. Whether it's the desire to stand confidently on stage, deliver compelling presentations, lead with authority and empathy in the boardroom, share your story in a way that inspires action, or simply make your voice heard, you have taken the first step toward mastering the art of communication. Voice Masters is more than a program. It's a movement founded on the principles of excellence, authenticity, and transformation. We are here to guide you through practical techniques, actionable strategies, and personalized coaching that will refine your voice and amplify your impact. Together, we'll help you discover how to speak with clarity and conviction, engage and connect with the diverse audiences, overcome the fear of public speaking, and develop a presence that commands attention and respect. So what should you expect? Learn from experienced coaches and speakers who have mastered the art of powerful communication. Participate in interactive workshops that challenge and inspire you to grow. Receive personalized feedback tailored to your unique voice and style. But most importantly, you will be a part of a community of individuals committed to growth, authenticity, and making an impact. So let's embrace this moment. The path to mastery starts with a single step, and you have already taken it by being here today. Let's create something extraordinary together. Let's master the art of voice. Your voice, your power, your potential.
Get ready for the premiere Voice Masters Global Speakers Conference theme, Echoes of Greatness, where every voice leaves a mark. Join us for a one-of-a-kind experience where powerful voices rise to inspire, to entertain, and to empower. From dynamic keynote speakers to bold and brilliant youth presenters. This event is more than a conference, it's a movement. Witness stories that move hearts, messages that ignite minds, and voices that leave a lasting echo of greatness. Date, November 1st, 2025 at the Island Space Caribbean Museum, located at 8000 West Broward Boulevard, Plantation, Florida. Mark your calendar. More exciting details are on the way. The Voice Masters Global Speakers event is on. Be there. Voice Masters, your voice, your power, your potential.
I want you to take a moment. I want you to take this moment and think about this. What would the world miss if you never shared your voice? Think about it a little. What stories do you have that can empower? What stories do you have that can inspire? What stories do you have that can help the world, change the world? Michael Jackson sang about it, heal the world, make it a better place. And we didn't understand clearly what he meant by that. Yes, healing the world doesn't mean that, you provide food only. Healing the world doesn't mean that you medicate our people. Healing the world means that you share your story. Because if you believe that your story is unique to you and no one else is going through the trials and the tribulations that you're facing, you're wrong. If you are scared, Shirley just shared, if you are scared to tell your story, thinking that people will be laughing at you, think again. Your story could be that story that will take someone out of their abyss of darkness. Your story could be that story that will change this world, heal it, and make it a better place. You see, your voice, ladies and gentlemen, your voice is more than just a sound. It is power. It is influence. It is the bridge between you. It is the bridge between who you are. It is the bridge that will close that gap. It is the bridge between who you are and the impact you were meant to make in this world. Use your voice to make that impact. And that is why we're here today. Hello, everyone, my viewers. Hello from wherever you're joining in from. Thank you so very much for making it the Beyond the Voices with Voice Masters Global. We are happy to have you here today. And today you're with yours truly, Sharleen Clarke Curah. And I'll be having a little discussion with you. My intention today is not really to bring you great inspiration pertaining to leading a healthy life. But my nature, my true nature, in anything that I do, I have to inculcate some of that. So pardon me if while I'm talking to you a little bit about our upcoming speakers conference, I talk a little bit about, being inspired and motivated. Pardon me if while I'm talking a little bit about myself and how, my childhood years and, why I am who I am today. And while I'm doing so, I'm motivating you. It is my nature. Again, welcome to Voice Masters Global Beyond the Voices podcast. And I will be with you for the next 20 minutes. Do know that you can interact with me by asking your question using the chat, to ask your questions, to share your comments, and let us have a healthy discussion because we're about holistic health. Yes. Now, my name is Sharleen Clarke Curah. And I am a mother. I like to start like that. The hardest thing for me is to really talk about self. Yes. And it's not because I have not done so. A lot of things have not bring forth joy in other people's life, or probably sadness. I don't know. But it's just that it's hard. I find it challenging to talk about myself. So I might pause a little bit to think, to make sure that I'm saying the right things. Or perhaps I won't pause because, sometimes we need to show the true self, the good side, the bad side, and the in-between, because we're not all perfect. You seeing me here today is not just about promoting the Voice Masters Global Speakers Conference that will be taking place in Florida, to be exact, Broadmoor Plantation at the Island Space Caribbean Museum on November 1st. It's not just about that. Before we get to there, and it's not that I'm just here to sell you tickets. It's not just that I'm here to sell you a show. I'm here to inspire you, to motivate you, to get you to that event, because I know that it will be an event that you will not forget. But before I get there, let me tell you a little bit about me and why I'm able to speak at that event with authority. As a child, I was often told that I talk too much, not just by my parents, but also by my teachers at school. Every time my parents attended a parent teachers meeting, or even if they had to collect my report card, the feedback was always almost predictable. she has potential, but she talks too much. Well, was I a talker? Yes, absolutely. But was it too much? I'm not sure. It depends on who was listening. It depends on the view of others. For me, I never thought it was too much. And looking back, I realized that my voice was never the problem. It was how others perceived it. You see, perception is the key. And the way people perceive you will make a difference in how they describe you. And my teachers were thinking that her voice was too loud, her voice was too much. But for me, I was thinking that, someone need to hear what I have to say, right? Someone need to hear this voice. I need to share this voice. I need to be heard. And oftentimes we're told that this is too much or this is too little. And because we are living our lives based on how people perceive us, we never realize or dream. And so when I look back, I realized that my voice was never the problem. It was indeed how it was perceived. What was once seen as a distraction is now the very thing that fuels my passion, my purpose, and ability to connect. Speaking up was not a weakness. It was an early sign of leadership. It was an early sign of a desire to engage with the world around me. Unfortunately, at that time, or perhaps fortunately, the world around me involved my teachers and the students. So perhaps I was not in the right place as I was sharing my voice. And that's something else that you need to think about. Sometimes product that you are delivering, the product that you're sharing, is not accepted by the persons whom you surround yourselves by, or it's not accepted where you plant yourself. It means, therefore, that you don't need to change your product. You don't need to be quiet in my case. What you need to do is change the people you're surrounded by, change your location, and then you will realize the value of your product. So as a child, I was often told that you speak too much. You need to be quiet sometimes. As children growing up in the Caribbean, I'm from Jamaica. As children growing up in the Caribbean, you're often told, speak only when you're spoken to. Not just that. You are also told, answer only when you're called. I grew up like that. Well, I grew up hearing that. Did I abide by it? Sometimes not, because I always wanted to share my voice. There was always something that I wanted to share. And so I never knew how to be silent. And throughout my years at high school, elementary school, whatever it is you call it, kindergarten, that was one of the many things my teachers would share with my parents. She has potential, but she talks too much. I would like to say to my teachers today, my potential was really my voice. So while you were not seeing it then, that my talking was me training myself to live in my potential, you did not understand. I didn't either. I was just doing what I liked. Now I do understand that then it wasn't that I was being too loud, I was talking too much. It was that I was training my voice for a purpose, because I had a vision. But someone bigger than me saw my vision and decided that it was early time for me to be training myself. So then when I become who I am today, I can live my dream and fulfill that vision. And I chose to start that way because I know many persons, especially if you grew up in the Caribbean or you were grown with Caribbean parents. I know that many of you would have the same experience of being told that you need to be quiet or shh, hush. And had I been that person who listened, there are many things that I didn't listen to when I was a child, not because I was being defined, but because I was exploring. And those are some of the things that helped me to be who I am today. And if we decided that, okay, listen, I believe I do talk too much, and so I'm going to be quiet, you would end up losing losing the ability to fulfill your dreams. I didn't know that I wanted to become a speaker. I had no clue. As a matter of fact, if I share with you, my parents thought I would become an entertainer. To be specific, a DJ. Well, to be specific, a hardcore DJ. So they thought that I was going to become a DJ because, I like to entertain. And of course, I talk too much. So if she talks a lot, it means that she can DJ, right? So I didn't know that I wanted to become a speaker as a child. But as I got older, I realized that I had something that was priceless. I had something that I could use to empower, inspire, motivate. I had something that it didn't cost me to use. I had something that could help someone to become a better person. I had something that many other persons were told to keep silent. I had my voice. And when I realized that I had a voice, my voice, because when I was a child, I refused to listen to those who told me that I spoke too much. When I was a child, I refused to listen to those who told me to be quiet. When I was a child, I refused to listen to those who told me to be silent. I continued to be loud. And today, I have recognized the importance of being silent to be louder. So as I got older, I realized that, my voice made a difference. I was able to inspire, was able to motivate. As a matter of fact, I became a teacher. And it was because of my voice why I decided not just the skill, but because I knew I had a voice, an engaging voice, a voice that many people would want to listen to, a voice that could make change or make changes, a voice that will leave mark that will be unforgettable, a voice that would make a difference. I decided that I wanted to become a teacher, and that I did. I became a teacher. And it was really a good thing for me to keep the voice, because I remember when I became a teacher, I was probably about 19. I was 19, and most of the students who were in my class were either older than I was or they were my age. And so it was my voice that helped me to maintain that class. And let me add something else to that. When I became a teacher, I was teaching a skill that people believe is, well, if you believe that there are certain things that are, for males and then others for females, then, people thought that, that skill was predominantly male oriented. And I was teaching electrical installation, which means that my students were predominantly males. Given the fact that I was within their age group, they're predominantly males, I had to make sure that my voice had that command. Now let's go back to when I was a child. If I had listened to all those persons who were telling me that I talked too much, I would not be able to command the class with my voice, because I would not have been able to train that voice. Are you with me? And so I became a teacher, and I decided that, okay, I'm going to use this voice to empower, inspire, to educate. So I started out that way. And I found that my voice made a difference. Outside of engaging my students as a teacher, I had to engage them as a mother. I wasn't a mother, I was their age. I had to engage them as a mentor. I had to engage them as a friend. No, each engagement required a different type of approach. Each engagement required a different type of voice. And I was able to be flexible within the different space I was commanding, because I was that child who spoke too much but had potential. And now, as a mother, as a wife, as a friend, as an acquaintance, as a co-worker, I continue to use my voice. And I remember meeting the co-founders of Voice Masters Global at a Lesbron conference in October, I believe September 2024. We met and we decided that we wanted to create our own platform where we can share our voices. But not only that, we shared similar experience of persons telling us that our voice was too loud or too much. And so we decided that we wanted to share not just our voices, but the voice of others who were forced to be mute. And we came together, formed our organization, and today you have Voice Masters Global LLC, founded by 4 ladies who had a voice, maintained the voice, trained the voice, and is now sharing the voice. Can you go back for a little bit and think of that moment when someone would have told you way back then? I perhaps would have to pause for a little bit longer for some of us to get there. Just think of that moment when someone would have told you that what you're doing would not work. What you're offering, no, it's not of interest to them and will not be of interest to anyone else. When you were told your voice was too loud or too much, when you were told you could not or you cannot, when you were told you will not, when you were told that failure is the route you will take, go back to that moment for a little bit. How did it make you feel? But most importantly, what did you do? Because what you did then will determine where you are sitting now. If you had listened that you were a failure, if you had listened that you were too loud, if you had listened that what you had to offer would not be accepted, then you would be failing right now. So what you did then, when you were told that you cannot, you could not, you will not, you shall not, will define where you are today and determine whether or not you are doing it, you are achieving, or you are making that mark. So sometimes when you think about failure, why is it that what I'm doing, it's not working? Why is it that what I'm doing, it's not moving? Why is it that what I'm doing seems to be stagnant? Just pause for a little and go back to that moment when you would have had teachers like mine who told you that you could not. Ladies and gentlemen, I say this to you. Write this down. Write this down. I'm waiting for you to get your pens and paper. Yes, write this down. I am who I am. Because who I am is the person who I want you to see. Write this down. I train myself because I know I can. Write this down. I am successful because I understand what it meant to fail. Write this down. My failure is not for you to determine. My success is for you to see. Hope you wrote those down, and when you go back into your silent moment, you can read them and really understand what I meant by those. I can't repeat it because I did not write it down. That is why I asked you to write it down. And so I am here today as an individual who was so determined. I have always been an individual, a determined person. Unbeknownst to me when I was younger, some persons saw it as being rebellious. Some persons saw it as being defiant. Now I understand it. Then I did not, because I was but a child. But I am now here before you, telling you that, listen, when you decide that you want to succeed, do not let anybody tell you that you can't. Because when you listen to those persons who are telling you that you can't, it means therefore that you should not even begin to try, because failure will be your reality. Know within yourself that your dream is for you to fulfill. Know within yourself that your goals is for you to achieve. Know within yourself that you are the only individual who stands in your way. And if you allow others to distract you from being successful, because your voice was too loud, then you are allowing others to cause you to fail. And so my voice has the power. My voice has the potential. And my voice will be on that stage at Voice Masters Global Speakers Conference on November 1, 2025. Here's my question to you. Do you have a voice? A voice that you want to share? A voice that we need to hear, the world needs to hear? A voice that can inspire, a voice that can motivate, a voice that can lead people toward realizing their dreams, their goals, their success? Do you have that voice? And if the answer is yes, then you need to be on that stage with us on November 1, 2025 at Island Space Caribbean Museum in the Broad Mall, Plantation, Florida. Do not waste that voice. Let's share the voice. Let's share the story. And as I spoke about being a child and not being able to speak up, I want to share with you too that we will be hosting some children on our stage, because we recognize that children also are able to motivate, to inspire, to empower, and to lead. Oftentimes we tell our children to be quiet. Oftentimes we tell our children to go in that little corner because this here is not for you. Listen, I am now asking you, if your parents, if your caregivers, if your grandmothers, grandfathers, friends, instead of telling the child that your voice does not belong, instead of telling the child that your voice is too loud, like I was told, instead of telling the child to be quiet, say to the child, you have a powerful voice, and I am going to channel that voice in a way where it will become inspiring. I'm going to help you to channel that voice in a way where people will want to listen to you. I'm going to help you to channel that voice in a way where people will want to hear you speak all the time. So let it be the last day today for us to be telling our children to be quiet. Instead, let us say, listen, that voice of yours needs training. You have a powerful voice, and I will help you to train that voice so that it can be amplified in spaces where people will listen. That's the nicer way to tell them to shut up, you know.
a better way to tell them to be quiet, and a great way to motivate them, to let them know that they too have the power to lead and to inspire. Age doesn't necessarily mean that you cannot speak in a way that people will listen. So let us now say to our children, your voice, you have a commanding voice. And I will help you to channel that voice. That voice needs to be heard. Now is not the time, but I will help you to channel that voice where it will be amplified. And so on our stage, we will have some youth speakers sharing their story, sharing their voice to motivate and inspire on November 1, 2025 with Voice Masters Global. Isn't this beautiful? Where else will this happen? This is the first in, well, I don't want to say a lifetime. Let me go back and do, some research. We will have not one, not two, but 5 children speaking on the stage because they too have a story, a compelling story, a story that can inspire change, a story that needs to be heard, and we will allow them to share their voice on that day because their voice has the potential to inspire changes. Now, if you want to share your voice, you are also encouraged to be with us on that day. You are encouraged to allow us to help you to groom the voice to share with the world. So if you want to become a speaker at the Voice Masters Global Speakers Conference on November 1 at the Island Space Caribbean Museum in Broadmoor Plantation, Florida, please let us know. You can reach out to us at vm@voicemasters.biz, or you can reach out to us on our website at voicemasters.biz, or you can also purchase your ticket on our events page. And we will reach out to you and make it happen. Listen, we need to come together and help the world to heal. We need to heal the world and make it a better place. And sometimes we have our stories and we believe that our stories belong to us. Our stories helps others to realize their dreams. And if you have a compelling story that can motivate someone else toward glory, toward achievement, toward success, let us help you to share that story. And don't be afraid to share your story. Many of us, because of ego, many of us, because of pride, we believe that if we share our story, people will begin to laugh at us, to jeer us, to mock us. But no. When you share your story, what it does is to help others to understand that, listen, I am not the only one who is going through this mess. Here is someone else who not only went through it, but has learned how to share it so that others can be inspired, so that others can be motivated, so that others can be encouraged that your day will come when you will overcome the challenges of life. Because after all, challenges were not meant to break us. They were meant to make us. And sometimes when you're going through that challenging moment, you don't understand it at that time, but you're being prepared to be stronger. You're being prepared to share, to motivate, to elevate, to inspire, to empower, because there will be someone who will come to you and say, hey, I am going through this. And having gone through something similar before, you will be an individual of authority to share some coping methods. So I'm encouraging you, if you have that voice and you would like to share your story, contact us and let us help you to share that story on November 1, 2025 at Island Space Caribbean Museum in the Broad Mall, Plantation, Florida. Our speakers conference will be a conference that will help to uplift, motivate, inspire, train, guide individuals toward being successful, toward leading a healthy life. And when we talk about healthy, we're not just talking about being a vegan, being a being an individual who is always, in the gym, right? We're not just talking about the physical, we're talking about the mental. Because you can be physically well and mentally broken. And sometimes when you're mentally broken, just that voice telling you that you can, that voice telling you that you should, makes that huge difference. So join us on November 1. And there's many ways you can join us. You can join us as a speaker, or you can join us as a vendor. Perhaps you have written a book. Perhaps you have merchandise that you'd like to share. You are welcome to share your merchandise, to share your book, whatever it is that you might want to share with our audience. You are welcome to do so. Our conference is a conference that is holistic and encapsulates and embodies a number of varying products tailored to meet the needs of every individual who will be joining us on that day. It's a conference that will leave that mark. It's a conference that you will never forget. We have a host of speakers lined up for you, yours truly, who will be sharing their stories as well, who will be inspiring the audience as well, who will be motivating the audience, and who will be leaving you with nuggets that will help you to lead a healthy, holistic life mentally. The physical, you will have to work on. Perhaps we could ask for a gym instructor. We have not, it's a thought, something we can think about. But when you join us at that conference, I know that you will leave fulfilled. Because whatever it is that we do from our hearts. And we all have our stories to share. We have done that. We have been there. And we're doing it differently now because we want to say to you that you can as well. Do not be silent. You see, as I become more mature, the child who once spoke a lot became a woman who speaks only when it's necessary. I have learned how to be silent in order to be loud. You see, I have learned to be more observant now. I am not the individual who is always speaking. And many times when I share with, if my siblings are on, or anyone who's closest to me, they might laugh at it. But many times when I share that I'm a little bit shy, people would say, no, not you. Because the child who once spoke a lot is now an adult who has become silent. And my silence is not because I am afraid to speak. My silence is because I know that when I speak, I need to be loud. So I have learned how to be silent in order to be loud. I am now the individual who will observe. I'm now the individual who likes her quiet moments, because my quiet moments are used to develop my voice so that when I speak, I'm heard. So if you know me, if you work with me, if I've been in your presence and you realize that she's not the individual who is always speaking, yes, but I'm the individual who is always observing. But she is the individual who, when she speaks, it resonates well with those who are listening. And that is how I trained myself, from hearing that I spoke too much then to learning how to be quiet and observant in order to speak louder now. And so I say to you, ladies and gentlemen, viewers, listen, today you can, tomorrow you should. And with consistency, you will succeed. And if your voice is a voice that we need to hear, the world needs to hear, please join us on November 1 and share your story. We all have our stories, and our stories is not for us. Our stories for others to hear, to know that they're not the only one who is facing the challenge of life, to know that they're not the only one who will have to go through trials and tribulations before realizing or recognizing their dreams and glory, and before smelling the roses. To know that they're not the only one who have gone through battles that have tried you and tested your tenacity, your patience, your willingness. Your story is to prepare others for their glory. So come on out and share your story. Connect with us and let us teach you how to share your story. And if you've already learned how to share your story, connect with us, purchase your ticket, and let's speak together on that stage. And perhaps you are not quite ready for the stage. Connect with us and purchase your ticket and sit among the audience while you listen to voices of empowerment. Your voice has power. Your voice has the potential. After all, it is your voice. Thank you so very much for listening in. And I want to leave you with this. Never silence your voice because the wrong people are listening. See you November 1, 2025 at the Island Space Caribbean Museum in Broad Mall Plantation, Florida, or perhaps online, virtually, we don't know, but I know we will see you when you will be listening to our voice, or perhaps we will be listening to your voice as well. See you then.
Get ready for the premiere Voice Masters Global Speakers Conference theme, Echoes of Greatness, where every voice leaves a mark. Join us for a one-of-a-kind experience where powerful voices rise to inspire, to entertain, and to empower. From dynamic keynote speakers to bold and brilliant youth presenters. This event is more than a conference, it's a movement. Witness stories that move hearts, messages that ignite minds, and voices that leave a lasting echo of greatness. Date, November 1st, 2025 at the Island Space Caribbean Museum, located at 8000 West Broward Boulevard, Plantation, Florida. Mark your calendar. More exciting details are on the way. The Voice Masters Global Speakers event is on. Be there. Voice Masters, your voice, your power, your potential.